Let's go. All right. There's a lot to talk about. We actually have some camp news, which is a little bit surprising. Some news came out about Tank Bigsby, which makes him a little more interesting. Maybe it has an impact on ET. We're going to talk about a lot, but let's go ahead. Let's hop into a fantasy football draft real quick. We are in Best Ball Mania. Just in case you haven't seen this tournament, I don't know where you've been living. Probably has been under a rock, but largest fantasy football tournament on the planet, $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first, $750,000 for second. I got 16th place in this tournament 2 years ago, which back then won me $10,000, but the payouts were structured a little bit different. This year, you get 16th place, it's $100,000. So we're going to try to run it back. All right, we're going to see if we can make some magic. We're going to be at pick 8. Pick 8, I'm fine with. Pick 9, very awkward to be. Pick 8, we should still get Bijan. We should still get Brees. Maybe I've gotten a Monroe St. Brown here a couple times. Unlikely, but it's a possibility. But let's go. But thank you so much for everybody stopping by. And yes, I know y'all are wanting a slow puppy. The slow puppy's the $5 underdog tournament, but there's an 8-hour timer. I don't know if I will be able to live stream a draft with an 8-hour timer. It'd be way, way tougher than our 24-hour stream. We'll put it that way. But Grindon in here with us at pick 6. Happy to go up against you, my friend. Thank you for joining the draft. Now, CMC off the board. Nope, no surprise. We'll see what happens. Hopefully some randomness occurs. Maybe we get Jefferson. Maybe we get St. Brown. I have noticed St. Brown falling in these just a bit. Drew says, what's up, Mason? When are we getting the flock draft on Underdog? I reached out to Underdog yesterday. Or I reached out to them late last week, got back to me today. They said end of week. I asked for August 1st, but it looks like the Flock Underdog tournament is on the way, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully y'all hop in it with us. Okay. Aleem says, Mason, you clown. Why do you hate Alvin Kamara this year? Don't necessarily hate Alvin Kamara. I mean, I am not all in on Kamara. I'm a little lukewarm. The thing is going to be a bad offense, aging running back. Underdog's a half PPR format, not a full PPR league. If it was a full PPR league, I'd be a little more excited about Kamara and the check down princess. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Bijan at 8. More likely than not, most drafts, you're going to get Brees Hall at 8. But when Bijan falls, we'll take him. I do have Hall ranked ahead of him, but it is what it is. Hartnell says, is the flock tournament $5 or $10? To be honest with you, I don't remember. The flock tournament's either going to be $5 or $10. I know it's not more than $10. I think it's also going to be a 3 entry max, so you only get 3 drafts in the flock tournament. And then I think we may end up running more flock tournaments through the entire offseason. We will see. I don't want to speak too soon. But let's move this over. So in the other draft, I want to say last night or the night before, we had a super interesting start where we went Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs out the gate. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor's the player that we have to, we can say, oh, it's worth taking the risk to go running back, even though running back values are so great late in underdog drafts and wide receivers gross. I don't know if JT's a good enough pick and a unique enough pick paired up with Bijan where it's worth going running back on Underdog. Obviously, in a regular redraft league, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor over Nico Collins. But just specifically on Underdog where I'm going to be worried about the wide receiver values later and running back has great values later in the draft, I think we will mix in Nico. But, of course, if you don't know what we are doing here, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every offseason. It's how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And, of course, if you wanted to join a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. We're going to be streaming every single night. I have done that for years and years and years. But, yeah, if you join with code FLOCK, you are going to get my 2024 fantasy football rankings. You'll be in line to get my 2024 fantasy football draft guide, which drops on August 1st. Anybody who uses code FLOCK on a new Underdog account with a $10 deposit minimum in the year 2024, To that email address, we'll get our 2024 draft guide sent to it every single week until the season starts with updates. Get our rankings with updates. You'll get a deposit bonus up to $250. And we actually have an exclusive flock pick'em coming your way very soon, which I think is going to be CeeDee Lamb more than less than half total receiving yard for the season. But bad news is you need to be in one of these states if you want to draft on Underdog. Good news on that front is it's available in almost every state. It's available in California. It's available in Texas. It's available in Florida. You can see the map. But DK Metcalf off the board at 30. Let's move this around. More likely than not, we are going to see DJ Moore. The question is what happens if Kyron makes it. Y'all know I love round 3 Kyron Williams. I don't love taking Kyron Williams on a team where we already have a running back in the first 2 rounds. But we'll see what happens. DJ Moore goes. I can't take Michael Pittman Jr. over Kyron Williams. So I'm going to take Kyron. This is what we were talking about, saying that running back values are extremely strong at Underdog in the middle to late rounds, whereas wide receiver gets gross. This is why we take Nico Collins over Jonathan Taylor, because we know we're going to be behind at wide receiver once we go Bijan in round 1. I know there are going to be a couple spots where I get suckered into going with another running back, such as us taking Kyron Williams at pick 32. So we will go Kyron at 32. And now almost no matter what, it doesn't even matter if Josh Allen falls to us. When we only have one wide receiver through the first 3 rounds, and that wide receiver is Nico Collins. There's no trading on Underdog, no waiver wire. There's no way for us to fix wide receiver during the season. Kind of stuck into having to go with a wide receiver here. Winterborn says, in a 14-team PPR ESPN redraft league with a single flex spot, would you take an elite receiver like Hill, Lamb at 2, or go with Breece, Bijan? I would probably go Lamb, unless you know in your league for damn sure you're going to have, let's see, what do we want to do? We'll go George Pickens. But unless you know for sure that in your league mates are going to be pushing up running back, because the issue is if it's a 14-team format, your next pick is going to be pick 27. You're going to have that one selection. They're not going to be up until pick 27. I like the Lamb selection, though, just because it's such a strong cornerstone piece for you, and that you have an extremely high floor and an extremely high ceiling with it. Obviously, if CMC were to make it to you at 2, you take CMC easily. Charlie, always happy to see you, says, I'm in a Yahoo 10 out of 12 team, or 10-12 team league. 3 receiver, 1 flex. Last year was my first time back to fantasy since Ray Rice. Dear God, my friend. Should I use the same strategy that you use in best ball? No, strictly because if you look at the Yahoo ADP and how things line up, they're going to be extremely strong wide receiver values in rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Whereas on Underdog, those wide receiver values just simply do not exist in the middle rounds. So what I would recommend in your regular redraft format is I would recommend to instead maybe push running back a little bit higher at the top, prioritize an elite tight end, prioritize an elite quarterback under the assumption that we are going to be able to get wide receiver values in the middle rounds. But here, like on Underdog, I'm kind of forced to go Nico Collins over Jonathan Taylor because I know Kyron Williams has a shot to make it to us at pick 32. Whereas in your regular redraft league, there's no way Kyron makes it that far. Now, B. Boda says, I'm often waiting on tight end and getting Goddard and Schultz at tight end 12 and 13 back-to-back. What are your thoughts? I took a lot of Dallas Goedert last year. Goddard has gone down in a linear line over the past 3 seasons. If you look at pretty much any advanced metric, he's not super old. The issue with both Goddard as well as Schultz is while they're in good offenses, they're at best the 4th options in those offenses. You have A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon Barkley. You have Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. So if you wanted to go, like personally, it depends. I know on ESPN, you're having to take Sam Laporta in round 2. And there maybe the elite tight end's not as appealing of a price. But specifically in these Underdog drafts, I'd rather just go Mark Andrews, Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid at the 4-5 turn. So it depends on the platform that you're playing in. Okay. Now, that team at 11 does have an interesting start where they go Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes at the 3-4 turn. Benji says, when's the first video coming out for the Flock League channel? I do not know, my friend. Hopefully soon. I know everybody is coming down to Austin, and we're going to start recording a bunch of content and getting the league ready and stuff August 19th. So just in case you haven't seen, August 19th through 22nd, we're going to have a big Flock draft week. Bunch of fantasy football YouTubers. We're all going to be in one league together. We're going to make an entire YouTube channel surrounding this one league. And it's not going to be I can't take Hollywood Brown. I'm sorry. I'm going to go Jaden Reed. I have way too much Jaden Reed, not enough Hollywood, but I don't care. But it's not going to be like a league saying like, oh, draft these 5 wide receivers. These are going to be the guys to break. It's not a fantasy advice league. It's more so just going to be like a behind the scenes entertainment. It's going to be a league where we just have some fun overall. But I'll send the link in the live chat if anybody's interested in checking out the league. The YouTube channel. Where, like I said, we're going to be posting a ton of content. Not only will it be from myself, but also a bunch of other fantasy football YouTubers. Okay, let me see. Just got it for y'all. Just spammed the live chat with that link. It's at Flock League. Should be a lot of fun. And also, of course, that week we are going to have the Fantasy Flock Meetup. And I really hope that y'all are there. It's going to be August 22nd, Austin, Texas. I will be there. A bunch of other fantasy football YouTubers will be there. A bunch of people who enjoy fantasy football in general will be there, all talking ball. And yeah, of course, if you wanted to join us, you can find the link in the description. I'm having to sell tickets just because I have to tell the venue how many people are going to be there. But they're $15. I'm going to be giving out free merch. I got the venue to agree to give away half-price beer to everybody. So honestly, I'm losing money selling them for $15. I just want to hang out with y'all. So if you wanted to come out to the meetup, Austin, Texas, July 22nd, you can. It's 6:30. It's a Thursday. Tickets are $15. Flockfantasy.store. Flockfantasy.store. You can see it on the screen. And yeah, I think should be a lot of fun. Aiden says, if Rice isn't suspended, where do you rank him? So I think what's more interesting, instead of his overall rank, just comparing him to other receivers, obviously Rice has been steamed up draft boards a ton. Rashee Rice up to pick 62 in this. If Rice is not suspended, I'd rather have him over Worthy. I'd rather have him over Hollywood. I would take him over Godwin. I would take him over Reed. I would take him over Keenan. I would take him over Terry. I would take him over Kirk. I would take him over Higgins. I would take him over Pickens. I would take him over Amari. I think Rashee Rice would be in like the Zay Jones, DJ Moore, Michael Pittman Jr. range of wide receivers if he's not suspended. Like if you think Rashee Rice is not going to get suspended, he has a lot of room to run here. Okay. Okay, now CJ Stroud off 72. Stroud obviously was in play for us when we go Nico Collins in round 2. But the hope is if you are wanting to get one of these Houston guys, you have CJ Stroud making it back around. But what's interesting is the team that takes CJ Stroud there at pick 1 actually does not have any of the Houston pass catchers. So I wonder if this is going to be a team that's going to go for Dalton Schultz a little later on. Okay. Move this over. Ladd McConkey, David Montgomery, both off the board. JSN goes 75. At this point, running back, we have Bijan Kyron. Wide receiver, we have Nico Pickens, Jaden Reed, Rome. So a big reason we take Rome where we do is we kind of need to be thinking about quarterback options for us a little later on. When we take Rome, we give ourselves the ability to go Caleb Williams. So right now, our potential stacking options at quarterback are going to be Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. Beyond that, we don't have too many options. We'll see if we can find something else, but it looks pretty limited. We could go Kyler Murray and then try to target Michael Wilson later on, but it seems thin. I actually just took Kyler in the $1,000 underdog draft that we're currently in. I'm going to take Jordan Addison here at pick 80. I've already drafted a lot of Addison. There's a shot that Addison gets suspended. It's a bad offense. He's for sure the wide receiver 2 in said offense. He may see touchdown regression this season. So while I was adamant before the incident that Jordan Addison was a phenomenal draft pick when he was going at like wide receiver 40, now getting him at like wide receiver 46 after the incident, I can't be nearly as confident with it. So we'll take Addison here at 80, right before Curtis Samuel, and kind of say it's whatever. Peabody says, thoughts on Isaiah Likely if Andrews gets injured, top 3. 1, it's by no means that Mark Andrews gets injured. 2, Isaiah Likely's barely been playable even with an Andrews injury. I think Isaiah Likely's probably one of the most overrated fantasy assets in the league, to be honest. Luke's Lock says, what happens if a draft on Underdog doesn't fill up before the season starts? This, if you are in the drafting, is the best possible outcome for you. Like, Best Ball Mania is going to fill. I'm not trying to give anybody false hope here. But say, hypothetically, Underdog guarantees that there will be a $15 million prize pool in this tournament. They say first place is going to get $1.5 million. Second place is going to get $750,000. And instead of 672,000 teams entering, if it's only 500,000, Underdog has to cover the money that they guaranteed. So Underdog has to artificially pump more money into the league pot for everybody, which would be a phenomenal situation for anybody drafting. Now, if you're looking at the drafts on Underdog, like I said, Best Ball Mania is going to fill. The only drafts right now that look like they may have a difficult time filling, the Sprint at the moment, which I have done a ton of because I think there's a chance it doesn't fill, has been open pretty much all offseason. We're a month away from the season starting. And there have only been 3,600 entrants out of potential 22,000. So the Sprint possibly can overlay. The Marathon as well. The Eliminator is going to fill. These high stakes drafts, I'm sure, are going to fill. There are only 240 possible entrants. The only drafts at the moment that I think could potentially not fill would be the Sprint and the Marathon. But like I said, I think more likely than not, they are going to. So I don't want to give anybody false hope about them not filling, and then all of a sudden you just have a way better shot, which I mean would be great. Like I said, I just do think it's possibly a little bit of false hope here, because if I was a betting man, I would say that they probably fill. Okay, let me get back in our draft now. We took Aaron Jones in the last round, so now we are kind of in on the Vikings. I've noticed a ton of drafts now where you've had Aaron Jones and Jordan Addison both falling. Jordan Addison makes a ton of sense to be falling given his incident. Aaron Jones, not so much. I do think it's a pretty natural pick here at the 7-8 turn to go Addison, Aaron Jones, and just kind of go in on Minnesota. While the offense probably not going to be great, if you look at sports books at the moment, they aren't projecting the Vikings to be a bottom 5 offense in the NFL or anything close to a bottom 5 offense. So I think maybe the overall offensive concerns are a little overblown with Minnesota. But like I said, I mean, obviously the concern should be there. Okay. Now, Shaheed goes pick 99. Let's move this over. So looking at quarterbacks that will be in play for us, Jordan Love can be in play because we took Jaden Reed. Burrow would probably be a little bit harder to justify, especially now that Burton's falling. There are a lot of reports saying that Burton may not even have the number 3 job in Cincinnati. Jordan Love goes 103. Dear God. I should have taken T. Higgins. Why did I take George Pickens instead of T. Higgins? I am a stupid person. That is why. We're gonna take Brian Robinson here. I probably should have just taken an unstacked Burrow, and then targeted Gesicki at the very end. Maybe grabbed a Cincinnati back or something. But God, such a brutal snipe for us. Where Jordan Love just makes so much sense. The team that takes him has Christian Watson, so obviously we can't throw a fit about it. I mean, I think it would make a lot more sense for them to take Joe Burrow with T. Higgins in comparison to Jordan Love, but that is what it is. If they think that they may get Burrow, making it to them at pick 114 because the Chase team's not over here, I got news for you. That ain't happening, but we'll see. Actually, and then obviously Caleb is in play for us as well since we have Rome. Caleb's probably the correct choice for us with Rome. But let's see what happens. Can somebody else take Burrow so I am not tempted to take him here at 113? See if anybody else will take an unstacked Joe Burrow, or if I'm going to be an idiot here and take Burrow and then target Burton and Gesicki later on. That team had Allen. This team has Kyler. All right. I'm an idiot. Everyone laugh at me. This team JFAR is probably going to be pissed as I take an unstacked Joe Burrow. 23 picks past ADP with no clear quarterback options for us. With where we are going to have to end up looking for some Cincinnati options a little later on. So we'll take Burrow here at 113, even though obviously from a correlating perspective, Caleb probably made more sense because we had Rome. But it's not like there are no Cincinnati Bengals players drafted the rest of the draft. Okay. And yeah, we did not have the option to go with Jordan Love, my friend. Now. Yeah. Now, at least I feel better whenever we spazzed and took Brian Robinson at 104. Just feel better about that selection, knowing that Burrow makes it back around us at 113, so it's not like it really matters. It's probably going to be a team in which we end up taking 3 quarterbacks. And sometimes if we have, say, like one of these unstacked options like Joe Burrow here, and we need to kind of find some upside elsewhere, what we can look to do is we can potentially look to take like Justin Fields in the last round to pair up with George Pickens and go through and throw up some magical argument of, oh, okay, what happens if Fields is the starting quarterback in week 10 and then Justin Fields averages 70 rushing yards per game in the season? But we needed the Joe Burrow raw points to get us actually to the playoff tournament where we use Fields during those weeks. We can go through and throw up some hypothetical situation like that probably doesn't end up happening, but it is what it is. Now, Winterborn coming out says, going off what I said before, do you think it would be better to take Hill at 2 and then get Tua later in the draft for the stack, or to get Lamb and take Dak earlier than I would take Tua and miss out on a running back receiver? So it's interesting. I believe this is the 14-team format where we're at pick 2. The interesting conversation in a 14-team league is just strictly where do these quarterbacks end up going? Because I know a lot of times in like a dynasty format, quarterbacks will run in a 14-team league just given the teardrop that you get. I think it is really going to be up to your personal preference. Right now, Miami's supposed to outscore Dallas this season, but obviously a lot of the points are supposed to come on the ground for Miami, whereas it's really only going through the air for Dallas. Okay. We'll go Blake Corum and lock in the Rams touches here. And now we are done drafting running backs with Bijan, Kyron, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum. We are only quarterback, wide receiver tied in through the rest of this. I think, my friend, I personally probably go Lamb and Dak, but it depends on how big of a gap you expect there to be between Dak and Tua. I think you said this was a Yahoo league, right? ESPN. Let me look at the ESPN ADP for Dak and Tua. What I'm going to do for also with the draft guide that's going to get sent out to everybody who's used code FLOCK on Underdog this year, and I'm going to post this on flockfantasy.com as well, is I'm going to create an aggregate of all ADP across ESPN, Yahoo, NFL Fantasy, Sleeper, and Underdog. And hopefully we can have like one really solid ADP list that you can use in any draft and you see where the market actually is. So Tua's right now on ESPN pick 140 in ADP. Dak has picked 70. I think you can make an argument to go Tyreek and Tua. I think you can. Okay. Let's see what we're going to do here. So strictly because between Gabe Davis, Mike Williams, we still need to be on the lookout for potential quarterback stacking options later on. Mike Williams gives us the ability to take Aaron Rodgers, where Lawrence is already gone for Gabe Davis. So we'll take Mike Williams. We'll have the extra Rodgers option previously. Okay. Now let's move this over. Eat more. A long time no see says. Mason, long story. 10-team map PBR standard starts 7. Have the 104 and 105. Don't have another pick till the 4th. Honestly, love this in a super shallow format. Who cares about the depth? Just go get the best players we can. Definitely grabbing Hall. Better to grab Bijan or Amon-Ra. If it is, you're saying it starts, if it's only 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, 10-team league, I'm just going to go Bijan and Hall. I don't care about not having another pick till the 4th because I know we're going to be able to get wide receiver values late in that format, and wide receiver is going to be very easy to come by. So, yeah, I honestly would not mind at all in your 10-team league to go Bijan, Breece out the gate, and then just in the later rounds slamming wide receiver values. I think it'd be a great spot. Okay. Now Johnson goes 145. The team at 1 saves us from ourselves. So in terms of looking at quarterback options that are coming up, now that Cousins and Stafford are off, I mean, there's not even worth talking about them. Which, I mean, whatever I was going to say was probably going to end with, yeah, probably can't take these guys. I have found myself with Sticky Ricky falling down draft boards, taking a decent amount of him. Still the shot that Ayuk gets dealt. It's not a 0% chance. Burden goes to pick 150, which obviously sucks for us, but at the end of the day, it is surprising given the fact that this is a player that's falling dramatically based on the camp news that we're getting out of Cincinnati. But we're going to pivot. We're going to take Sticky Ricky here at 152. If Ayuk is a Niner this next season, this is a horrendous selection. If Ayuk does get traded, we are getting a round 1 NFL draft pick and the best offense in the NFL at like wide receiver 70. So it's a very black and white situation. But if it's a $25 buy-in, $1.5 million price pool, typically I am wanting to take guys that have wide ranges of outcomes. And we can see a path to upside. Whether that path hits or not, obviously, is a different story. But the path is at least there. Now, like I mentioned previously, the only thing that we can take from here on out is quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends. This may end up being a draft where we take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. And in that instance, we may not be able to take another receiver. But wide receiver right now, we have Nico Collins, George Pickens, Jaden Reed, Rome, Jordan Addison, Mike Williams, Sticky Ricky. Yeah, we really need Nico Collins to hold down the fort if that's going to work. And real quick, I have no idea how many likes we're at, but if we hit 300 likes on the stream, we will fire up another draft after this one. So if you want another draft, go down there, hit that like button, ladies and gentlemen. And then I think we are pretty strong at running back. Running back, we have Bijan, Kyron, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum. Quarterback, Rodgers goes 159, so that is no longer an option for us. Let's pivot here. Okay, so Fields is playable with Pickens or Russ. We could also go with Addison with Jordan. I'm sorry, McCarthy with Addison. So we're going to make a very gross. You know what? I'm not going to take. We are going to go Cade Otton here. The reason that we're taking Cade Otton, which is a very disgusting pick, I'm not going to sit here and try to act like it's great, is if we're comparing him to the other top tight ends at the moment, there's a world where Baker Mayfield makes it back to us. And if Baker makes it back to us, I think it makes sense to go Otton. Obviously, Baker has an ADP that's higher than Cade Otton, but every turn that we've had, we've seen teams go out of their way to snipe us on our potential stacks. So I'd rather take Cade Otton and not get Baker than take Baker and not get Cade Otton. Tommy says, happy to see you. What's the best spot to draft at this year? I think the top tier in drafts at the moment, and this doesn't matter if it's a redraft league, it doesn't matter if it's a best ball draft. I think that there's a tier of 8 guys at the moment with CMC, Brees, Bijan at running back, Lamb, Tyreek, St. Brown, Chase, Jefferson at receiver. If you're in an underdog draft, I would put Brees and Bijan at 7 and 8. If you're in your regular redraft league, I would put Brees and Bijan at 4 and 5. So I would be completely fine with any selection that's inside the top 8 this year. The thing is, once you get beyond the first round, like in rounds 2, 3, 4, I can make an argument that they're all one flat tier. So I personally prefer a selection that's in the top half of draft rooms. Honestly, both in best ball and redraft. Okay. So let's move this around. Good for us to see some running backs go off the board. Obviously, a lot of these players are falling at the moment. We are quarterback, wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this. So if we were to go McCarthy, I don't think it makes sense for us to take Fields, given the fact that we would really only have one starting quarterback with Joe Burrow at the beginning of the season. So if our plan's going to be to take 3 quarterbacks and potentially go the Steelers and Vikings route, I think Russell Wilson makes more sense than Justin Fields, specifically with this team, if we're also going to be stuck taking... We could go with an unstacked Deshaun, 20 picks past ADP. I'm an idiot, so we're going to. And it looks like our stacking options are going to be Burrow with Gesicki, Deshaun unstacked, and then we're going to have to go with either McCarthy and hope for a massive McCarthy playoff game in week 17 with Addison and Aaron Jones, or we're going to go Fields and hope that Justin Fields gives us 110 rushing yards in week 17. Let's see. Roman Wilson off. Like I said, I think we're done at wide receiver. Quarterback, I think we're going to go with Fields super late. I don't think we can go with an unstacked Geno at this point. Given a Geno spike week in week 17, for us to take this down, you need to have a pair with him because there's no world where Geno goes out there and has 2 rushing touchdowns. So I think you need to have Lockett. You need to have Metcalf. You need to have JSN. Hell, I mean, maybe make the argument for Fant. So we'll take Chig here. Auden and Chig are both tight ends that have had roles early on in their NFL careers, but have done very little with them. Very, very little. But anyway, let me see how many likes. Are we getting another draft underway or no? Let me see. Okay, we have hit 300 likes, so we're going to fire up another draft after this one. Let me show off this board. Running back, we have Bijan, Kyron, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson, Blake Corum. Wide receiver, we have Nico Collins, George Pickens, Jaden Reed, Roma Dunze, Jordan Addison, Mike Williams, Sticky Ricky. Tight end, we have K-Dot and Chig. We're going to go with Gesicki with our next pick to pair up with Burrow. Gross, I get it. And then we are also going to be going with Justin Fields or Russell Wilson in the last round to pair up with Pickens. But let's go choose another draft on Underdog. Let's see. Does the $5 MMG... Is there a shorter... What's the hour on here? Oh, it's an 8-hour timer. We are not about to do that. We've already done the Corgi. The Corgi and Bulldog are $5 entries. I would highly recommend, if you're new to Underdog, hop in the Corgi. I just have already done my single entry, so I can't do another. So it really looks like the only thing that we have as an option at the moment is Best Ball Mania, at least for this live stream. So we'll go ahead. We'll hop in. It's a completely empty draft room. So if you want to draft with us, there is a spot in here for you. And it looks like those were taken quickly. Quote says, for casual redraft, I'm thinking I'll duck any receivers from the Texans Bears. Any of those guys could be the top target from a week-to-week perspective. What are your thoughts? Let me pull up their ESPN ADP at the moment. Because obviously you will have volatility given the amount of target competition that you have. But there is always the chance, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it is a possibility. There's a chance that Stephon Diggs falls off the face of the planet. There's a chance that Keenan Allen is just completely done. There's a chance that Tank Dell was a one-hit wonder. There's a chance Nico Collins was a one-hit wonder. There's a chance that Roma Dunze doesn't work out at the NFL level. While we want to sit here and we want to say every Bears receiver is great, every Texans receiver is great on July 29th when it looks like that, just because it looks like that doesn't mean it's a guarantee, and you may be in a spot where the room's not as full as you initially think. But we just went Gesicki in the other draft. But Luke's locks in with us at 7 in this one. Jared in with us at 8. Heath Beef at pick 1. Kevin pick 11. And yes, we get pick 6. Pick 6 is going to be nice. Looks like we are going to get Jefferson here. Not a super unique pick, but I'm completely fine with it. The other draft, we should get Russ, Fields, or McCarthy. But let me pull up that ESPN ADP to see where the Texans and Bears guys are going. Interesting to see Bijan fall in this one too. Honestly, it's very good for me to see Bijan falling, considering the fact that I'm underweight Bijan. It'd be nice to get him in a little more. So it's very interesting is if you look at ESPN, Stephon Diggs, the wide receiver 1 here at pick 31. Nico Collins is at pick 35. And Tank Dell's not even inside the top 50. If you were to get Tank Dell in your redraft league, he's going at the 5-6 turn. So yeah, these guys are a lot cheaper in your redraft league than they are in best ball. Let me look at the Chicago players. Chicago's pick 40. I mean, DJ Moore's pick 46 in your redraft league, so you can get him at the end of the 4th. Keenan Allen's pick 69. And Roma Dunze's outside the top 100. Rome's at pick 110. So if I'm in the Flock League draft and I can get Rome at pick 100, which I'm telling you I won't be able to, these guys will be sharp enough to understand that's probably not a good idea to let me get them there. I will take Rome. I promise you that. But let's see. Jonathan Taylor goes at 15. I've noticed Taylor working his way up a bit in these drafts. Daniel asks if I just draft all day. What a life. Honestly, that is what I pretty much do. I mean, I'm very tired right now because we have been grinding out the draft guide, which all my work's done. The designer of the guide's putting everything together, and it is going to officially be out on August 1st. I may actually post it to flockfantasy.com before then. But the rankings and the updated 2024 rankings and the draft guide will be sent out. I've been working my butt off to get that done for you. But outside of that, yes, I just draft all day. Okay, but let's move this over. Deebo Samuel goes. Mike Evans off the board. We'll go ahead. We'll take Olave. If you look at the way that ADPs line up, there aren't going to be a ton of Jefferson Olave teams. The concern that you have with Olave, Olave and Nico are like two great examples of players to look at because they couldn't be in more different situations this season. Nico Collins is in a situation where we are pretty confident he's a talented receiver in a great offense. The concern is that you have Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell in the same offense. You have Mixon, you have Dalton Schultz, you have a considerable amount of target competition for Nico. Now, in the case of Chris Olave, you're not having to deal with target competition. The last thing you're concerned about with Chris Olave is the wide receivers that will be taking targets away from him, such as like Shaheed, and throw Juwan Johnson in there. Pretty confident that he's a very talented receiver as well. The difference is the offense is going to be horrible in New Orleans, where, like we said, it should be pretty good in Houston. So it's like a very funny spot to look at with those two wide receivers. I don't know. Thought Criminal says, with taking Jefferson, you have to be hoping for Darnold, right? I think that this is a bad way to look at it. I would have Justin Jefferson ranked lower in drafts this year if I knew for 100% certainty that J.J. McCarthy was not the starting quarterback for Minnesota at any point this season. If you told me Sam Darnold was going to start, if the Vikings, the only thing they did this offseason was take Sam Darnold, they didn't draft J.J. McCarthy, I would for sure take Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson over Justin Jefferson. Because from what I've seen with these players, I am pretty damn confident that Sam Darnold is a bad NFL quarterback. In the case of J.J. McCarthy, J.J. may be a horrible NFL quarterback. We're going to reach on Laporta. McCarthy may be a horrible NFL quarterback, or McCarthy may be good to above average. There's a wider range of outcomes. If McCarthy is horrible, the coaching staff's probably not going to put him in. So we're just going to be stuck with the bad Sam Darnold. Or if McCarthy looks to be okay or slightly above average, then they may throw McCarthy in, and that can raise the overall floor and ceiling for Justin Jefferson. So I think Darnold has the higher floor for Justin Jefferson, but I'm not drafting a $25 team trying to win $1.5 million and looking for the highest floor available. I personally am looking for the highest ceiling available, and I think J.J. McCarthy has a higher ceiling than Darnold does. Like, McCarthy being here is a good thing for him. Okay. Now let's go ahead, pull up this next thing. Tim says, would you trade James Cook for Nico Collins in a league where we start up to 5 receivers? Hell yes, my friend. If you can start up to 5 wide receivers, please go get Nico. Next one. Winterborn says, appreciate the help. Second year with the channel. You to go. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much for everything. And Hassan says, 14 team, happy BR, 2 keeper, 2 receiver. London, Nico, Anthony Richardson, also best position to draft from. I'm going to go with London and Nico Collins here. In best position to draft from in a 2-player keeper, I'd still probably say the top half of the draft. Will be very interesting to see how many of your league mates keep quarterbacks and where we need to take them, though. Okay, once we go Laporta here at 30. I mean, my thing with Laporta is I've already put out all the research saying why I'm not excited about taking Malik Neighbors. Obviously, Neighbors is the best player there according to ADP. I just think drafters have it wrong at the moment. Malik Neighbors going at the 3-4 turn alongside Tank Dell, Zay Flowers, George Pickens. Much better price point for Malik Neighbors. If Malik Neighbors all of a sudden is going down here, I may end up drafting some Malik Neighbors. But I think that Laporta, I mean, Neighbors versus T. Higgins is kind of a question that's going to be up to you. I'm going to go ahead, take T. Higgins here, because I think Laporta can end up outscoring DJ Moore. I think Laporta can outscore Pittman. I think Laporta can outscore Malik Neighbors, outscore Tank Dell, outscore Zay Flowers. Like, let's just go ahead and let's look at what happened last season with Laporta compared to these wide receivers. So last season, and obviously it's not guaranteed to happen again just because it happened last year. But who knows? Okay, Sam Laporta last year, 239 fantasy points. Zay Flowers last season had 206. Let's look at Michael Pittman. Pittman, a much older player, scored about 15 more points than Sam Laporta. And we have a tight end going into year 2. Like, I'm completely fine taking Laporta ahead of ADP. And honestly, I really like the Travis Kelce value as well. The thing is, once you go Laporta there at pick 30, we're not going to swing Kelce in round 4. Caleb says, I feel like Shakir slept on. He had half the targets as Diggs in the second half of the season with more yards and touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Diggs was, unbelievably inefficient once you had the change in offensive coordinator in Buffalo. If you look at Shakir, my thought process is, I don't know if anybody would know his name if he was not attached to Josh Allen. Like, to be honest with you, I don't know how good he actually is versus how good the situation just is. Now, I'm okay mixing him in, but the thing is, Khalil Shakir wasn't a super strong prospect, really no pedigree. This was a day 3 pick. And let me just pull up my draft guide real quick. This is the thing to use my draft guide for. If you are going to be on the clock and you want to look at any player, just hit Control F, go to their profile. You can see pretty much any relevant statistic that you'd want from them. You can see a very brief write-up on positives, a very brief write-up on negatives. Draft guide, wide receivers. Yeah, let me pull up Shakira here. Shakir, like I said, a day 3 pick that has really not proven anything at the NFL level, who averaged 5.5 points per game last season. If you look at wide receivers that had a similar age 23 season to Shakira since the year 2000, the 9 closest comps, Corey Brown, the next year he averaged 7.5 points per game. Stedman Bailey, the next year averaged 6.5. Jalen Guyton, the next year averaged 5.5. Brandon Colbin, the next year averaged 5.5. Kelly Campbell, the next year averaged 5.2. Colin Johnson, the next year averaged 3.2. And Darius Watts, the next year averaging 2.1. Like, Shakir, I see the path for upside, but he just has not proven it. And I'm okay taking a player before he proves it, but I'm not going to come out here and bang the drum and act like he is the easiest pick in the world. Now, we are going to go ahead. We will take Rome Odunze. Jinu says, what is your hottest take for the season? Let's go take by take, round by round. My takes are very boring. Kyron Williams is the top 5 running back this year, which typically, we just got him at pick 32. Doesn't sound like it should be a hot take. I think Sam Laporta outscores the other wide receivers that are going in round 3. That's a pretty hot take. At least in underdog drafts, that is. Let's see. I think Curtis Samuel does not average double-digit points per game. Curtis Samuel goes round of 8 of drafts right now. I think that's a decent take. I try my best to be very reasonable here. I think Malik Neighbors is a very bad pick at the 2-3 turn. Devontae Adams in your regular redraft league going as a top 10 wide receiver is probably going to crush you. And I think Jordan Addison, if he doesn't get suspended, has top 24 upside. Cameron says, 14-team Dynasty Superflex. You moving Kyron in a pick or Cook in a pick for ETN? I'd rather have Kyron over ETN. So definitely not the first one. Cook in a pick. I mean, if you wanted to move like Cook in a third, Cook in a late second, Cook in a second for ETN in a third, I think you can do that if you want. We'll take Deontay Johnson, just get the unique pick here. And yes, this is pushing 0 RB to the max. We have the elite tight ends. We'll only have to draft 2 tight ends. Going to end up having to draft 6 to 7 RBs here once we take Deontay Johnson. But it looks like the teardrop's going to happen at wide receiver relatively soon. I know for a fact that there will be running backs that we like at pick 91. Deontay Johnson, ADP at pick 70, should be a pretty unique pick here at 78. So we'll take him. Aiden asked, is Laporta a value at 210 in a redraft league? So obviously Sam Laporta goes primarily in round 4 of underdog drafts now. I really like him, so I'll take him at pick 30. So it sounds crazy when I say I think Laporta is still a value at the 210 in your regular redraft league under a specific circumstance. I think Sam Laporta is a strong value at the 2-3 turn in your regular redraft league if you start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. If you only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, tight end's going to take up a high percentage of your starting lineup in comparison to a league that has multiple flex spots, and tight end will be a more important position overall. Tight end, in my opinion, is also a lot harder to hit off the waiver wire if you're chasing that high-end ceiling. So I think Laporta in underdog drafts is a great pick in the 4th. He's one of my most drafted players this year. I'm taking him as high as 30, depending on the context of the board. And even at the 2-3 turn in your regular redraft league, if it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where wide receivers will be super easy to find later on, I'm fine taking Laporta at the 2-3 turn. Okay. Now, let's swing this over. Like we said, when we have 0 running backs to the first 7 rounds, we are more likely than not going to end up going with the running back here. Now, a question that we may find ourselves asking is, well, we have T. Higgins. We kind of need to be in a spot where we have a potential Burrow stack. Let's see. Did the Chase team take... The Chase team has Kyler, so there's a chance that they actually pass on Burrow. So because the Chase team has Kyler, we'll pass on Burrow. We'll see if we can get him on the way back around. And if not, we still have some other potential stacks. We can go Jaden Daniels to pair up with Terry McLaurin. We can go with Caleb Williams to pair up with Rome. So we'll take Zamir White. Coaching staff was coming out earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, hyping up White. I think it was today. Yesterday was Sunday. And clearly we need a running back desperately. So let's go ahead and let's take him here. Adrian says, what's your take on DK or any of the Seahawks? DK Metcalf is drafted in 2019, so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. DK Metcalf is going into his 6th NFL season, and he has 1 year where he finished higher than the wide receiver 20 from a half PPR points per game perspective. DK Metcalf right now, depending on the platform you're drafting on, is going around wide receiver 19. The expectations for DK Metcalf in drafts currently is that he is much better than he has been pretty much at any point other than 2020. This is with people also expecting that you get a bump up from Jackson Smith and Jigba. So I don't know. I personally am not a massive DK guy at his cost, but that's just me. We're going to go ahead. We are going to get Burrow at pick 102. Now, you can roll the dice. I mean, obviously, we got Joe Burrow in round 10 in the last draft. When you're the T. Higgins team and the Jamar Chase team passed on Joe Burrow, you can roll the dice that Burrow would make it back to us at pick 115. But there's not really any other player that I'm super pumped about on the draft board at the moment. I really like the price point of Joe Burrow at 102, so I'm not going to get greedy. Now, if like DeAndre Swift made it to us at 102 and we were sitting here going, oh my gosh, yeah, I really want to stack Burrow with Higgins. There's a chance that Burrow makes it back. But I mean, we have this great running back value that never falls this far. Let's go ahead and let's take. Maybe if that would have happened, sure, we can do it. But the players that go after Burrow here are David Njoku, Khalil Shakir, and Joshua Palmer. I don't feel the need to get greedy and go out and take one of them over Joe Burrow. Okay. Alexander asking if we'll do any Superflex mocks. I'm sure Underdog will put out another Superflex tournament for the season. And yeah, I'll probably hop on a Superflex Underdog draft. I mean, I talk Superflex exclusively from about January through June when all we do is talk about Dynasty Fantasy Football. Because in Dynasty, I only play in Superflex. But in redraft, I only play in one quarterback. So very rarely am I talking about Superflex on this channel in particular. Now, Dak Prescott goes off the board 106. So obviously, Dak falls a ton here. Snipes the team that has Jake Ferguson. And then the team that takes Dak ends up getting sniped on Brandon Cooks, where I would be assuming they were hoping that they were going to get Brandon Cooks on the way back around to pick 111. Now, personally, when we're 9 rounds in and we only have Zamir White at running back, I need running back desperately. So I love seeing Brandon Cooks off the board. I love seeing Dontavian Wicks off the board. I want as many wide receivers to get drafted as possible. I'd love Shaheed to be the next pick. Running back will be in play. Now, obviously, Jaden Daniels is in play because we have Terry McLaurin. Caleb Williams is in play because we have Roma Dunze. So there is a possibility that we end up going with a quarterback here. And if we decided to take a quarterback, then we only have to take 2 of them because we're pairing them with Joe Burrow. Jaden Daniels goes at 111. Daniels would have been the quarterback I'd have been pumped to take. This team takes him unstacked. You're not going to blame him for it, right? I mean, you can target Jahan Dotson later on. You can target Ben Sinnott later on. And Daniels has the rushing upside where you don't even need to stack him if you really don't want to. Jacoby Myers, 112. Let's see what happens. I prefer Purdy in a vacuum over Caleb. The thing is, Purdy's not really going to run the ball, so I typically need to have Purdy paired up with one of his options. Purdy goes, A.D. Mitchell off the board as well. Let's see. If we pass on Purdy, on the way back around, Lawrence not in play, Tua not in play, Goff. We could go Goff with Laporta. The pair off is Singletary versus Eckler. I'd rather have Caleb. Let's get Caleb. I think Caleb makes it very easy where we know we don't have to draft another quarterback through the rest of this. Obviously, Caleb's stepping into a phenomenal situation, and he does have rushing upside as well. The main concern that I have with Caleb is that I'm overestimating his rushing upside. Because there is an outside chance that all of a sudden, Caleb Williams, I don't know. Even if I'm expecting him to go out and give us 20 rushing yards per game and possibly 5 to 6 rushing touchdowns. Like, we saw some rushing upside with Will Levis in college, and then his final year at Kentucky, and then when he gets to the NFL, he doesn't run the ball for a second. And while Caleb had a ton of rushing touchdowns at USC, he didn't really have a ton of rushing attempts or rushing yards. Brandon asked, does Underdog ever offer Superflex best ball? Yes, sir, they do. There's not a Superflex Underdog tournament live right now, but I'm sure we'll get another one before the season ends. Okay. Now let's smooth this over. Tua goes. Obviously, great for us to see any quarterbacks off the board at this point. We are dying for an RB. Jared Goff goes 124. So now that we see Goff off the board, I really do like the decision that we made to take Caleb. We're going to go Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards has been a faller as of late, with the reports saying that he is working himself back from his injury and he's not at 100% yet. But it's July 29th. Gus Edwards is the guy getting paid here when we are just sitting here with the worst running back room ever. At this point, I'm not necessarily chasing running back upside. I just need anybody to touch the ball. And yeah, I think Gus Edwards will probably touch the football. So we'll bring him in here at 126. Okay. Jerry Jeudy goes 131. But J.K. Dobbins has been a massive riser in these drafts as of late. Made a bunch of positive buzz coming out of Los Angeles regarding Dobbins. My hesitation is I always look at the contracts with these guys, and J.K. Dobbins is getting paid, I want to say $50,000 guaranteed. Which personally does worry me. Okay. Cousins goes. Swing this back around. So great for us to see Cousins off the board. We can still go wide receiver. Now, if we were to go with another receiver, probably only taking one more. But like, if the best player on the board for us is Mike Williams, I think we're okay to take him. Okay, let's see what these teams in front of us decide to do. PT Albs goes Jahan Dotson. That's actually not the team that... Oh, no, that is the team that has Jaden Daniels. Sorry. Okay, so it makes sense for them to go Dotson. I mean, it would have been great for us to get Daniels. But it is what it is. Let's see what these squads do. Next best tight end's Hawkinson. I personally... probably not looking at Hawkinson anytime soon. This team takes Baker Mayfield. Looks like it's an auto pick. They had Chris Godwin, so I'm assuming that they threw Baker Mayfield in their queue, ran it down, it autoed Baker for them, and we will be in the fortunate position where we can get a running back. I know people were screaming at us in the chat, telling us to go with Jerome Ford in the last round. My guy, I just got Jerome Ford in the 12th round. Don't think we need to take him in the 11th. And yeah, we have some more running back touches, which is frankly what we need for this team. Wide receiver, we're holding down the fort with Jefferson, Olave, Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Rome Odunze, Deontay Johnson. We have the elite tight end with Laporta. We have great QB production with Joe Burrow stacked with T. Higgins, Caleb Williams stacked with Rome Odunze. But where we have sacrificed ourselves is at running back, where we only have Zamir White, Gus Edwards, and Jerome Ford. So maybe this is our team where we say, oh, what happens if Chubb's injured the entire year? What happens if Chubb doesn't come back? Now, based off all the other teams I've drafted Nick Chubb, trust me, I'm not wanting that to be the case. But maybe with this team. Shirley says, thoughts on Kincaid? He didn't do well last year, even when Diggs was the focal point of the offense. And also thought of McBride in the mid-4th. McBride, Kincaid, Andrews. I prefer Andrews out of the group. You can get Andrews in round 5. I'm drafting a lot of Kincaid because he goes at the end of this group. I'm not drafting a lot of McBride because I can get Andrews in the 5th. But I am fine with all their price points there. The thing with Kincaid is he was a rookie tight end last season, where I know that Sam Laporta kind of broke the expectations on what we should have for rookie tight ends. But I mean, we have heard for years and years and years and years to not expect these guys to do anything. So, I don't know. I really like Kincaid's price in the 5th, and I'm going to take a lot of Kincaid. Like, if I didn't take Laporta here at pick 30, I would have been all about taking Kincaid there at 54. I prefer Kincaid in a vacuum over Terry. But, yeah, now we just add another running back to our room. We're going to add Marshawn Lloyd. Lloyd, decent prospect, good offense. He's definitely the backup. So we would need an injury for anything to happen here, but probably could say the same thing about the other running backs that go behind him. Maybe Jaleel has a larger role to open the season, but the issue is Jaleel's upside is going to be capped, where he's probably a worse player. Can't say so for sure, but that's probably his worse. And at the same time, what we do know is most likely in a much worse offense in Denver compared to Green Bay. You coming over here? The dog, your girlfriend's not in town, so this dog has just needed to be with me at all times. You want to say hi to everybody? Come here, baby. I know. Tell everybody hello. Tell everyone hello. They're this way. They are this way. Say what's up, people. Use code FLOCK. The draft guide's coming out soon. Use code FLOCK and Underdog. Get the draft guide. Links in the description. Links in the comment section. Links in the live chat. Good at it. Okay. Now, Quentin Johnson off. Burton may fall to us. We have Burrow here. Like I discussed in the last draft, Burton is falling because it looks like he may not be locked into the number 3 job in Cincy. It looks like he may be the 4th receiver here, which is a little bit of a tough situation if you want fantasy points. But when we have Burrow, and if he does fall down to 163, I'm okay taking him. But it is what it is. John says the dog's head looks massive on camera. Yeah, I mean, the dog weighs like 110 pounds. She's just a big girl. She's a big girl. Okay, Chuba Hubbard goes pick 159. Vidal and Dobbins will probably have their ADP flip based off what I've been seeing in draft rooms as of late. Like, if Vidal makes it to us at 163, it's not a spot for us to say, oh, great value, we can't afford to pass on it, because he's just the falling knife at the moment. Burton's also that falling knife. Condre Miller's been falling like crazy. Dobbins is the riser here, but we'll be taking Dobbins with a 13-pick ADP gap between Burton. Burton does give us the connection with Burrow. We'll go with him. May not be the best decision. Very easily could be the wrong decision. But it is what it is. We'll mix him in. I haven't drafted him a lot. Now, after we take him, though, we are probably done at wide receiver, where we're going to be in a position where we are just going to be slamming running backs and a tight end or two to end this draft. But real quick, if you have not done so already, if you want another draft to hit 500 likes on this stream, we are going to fire up another draft after this one. So go down there, hit that like button. Okay. Danny says, how do we access the draft guide? One of two ways. If you are in one of these states and you are new to Underdog with code FLOCK and made a $10 deposit in 2024, whether that's 5 months ago, today, yesterday, tomorrow, it doesn't matter. You will be emailed the draft guide to the email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK starting August 1st and then every week until the season starts with our updated rankings. If you are not in one of those states and can't hop on Underdog, it will also be available on flockfantasy.com, which, of course, if you're not already a member, you can sign up to flockfantasy.com with code FLOCK, and you'll get 30% off any sub. And yours truly will break down your fantasy football team in a podcast whenever you draft it. Let's move this over. Matt says, you see Lamb with the contract stuff. Seen it a few times now. Feels pretty silly. Yeah, I mean, my thing is, I don't really care about the details. I'm pretty confident CeeDee Lamb's going to get paid, and I'm okay drafting him with where he's going. Ray Davis blurb coming out where he's competing with Ty Johnson for first team reps. With it being a pretty even split. Not great news. Keep in mind, Ray Davis is a rookie. I don't necessarily know if you want to act like it's the end of the world here. What's the news on Bucky Irving? Tailor-made for new running scheme. We will take Ray Davis. Ray Davis is much cheaper now than he used to be. The reason you're taking Davis is, one, he's an injury away from potentially being the lead back in one of the best offenses in the NFL. And two, James Cook really hasn't had the red zone usage you would look for over the past few seasons. That could potentially be going in the direction of Ray Davis. We'll see. Now, such an awkward spot. I know I'm not taking another quarterback. I know I'm not taking another receiver. I know we need to take one more tight end. Question is, if we wait till like round 17, 18 to take our second and third tight ends, I mean, do we go with 3 or do we just take 2? Okay. Kondre Miller, sooner rather than later, is going to have an ADP where he's not getting drafted. We are running back tight end through the rest of this. Cade Otton, Jonnu Smith, both off the board. God, this is tough. Zamir White, please be good, my guy. I don't think you are that good. You're probably not. But it'd be cool if you were. It would be cool if you were. Okay. 38 more likes for us to hit 500. So hit that button if you haven't. And let's take probably Kondre Miller here, a running back that the coaching staff saying needs to get healthy if he even wants to make the roster. Not great news, but he's a running back that used to go 50 picks before this. We'll take him at 187. If he doesn't, there is a hypothetical situation. There's a hypothetical world where he's back at practice a week or two from now. Coaching staff says something nice about him. And then all of a sudden, yet again, he's going to be someone going in round 12 or round 13, wherever the hell he was going previously. So take him here at 187. Do I feel good about it? Not at all. But there is a chance that he's a running back with touches from week to week perspective, where the running back beside him is going into his age 30 season. Okay. Now, we are probably going tight end in this draft off. Obviously, when we go Laporta here, we are banking on a solid Laporta season. But if we wait till round 17 to take our second tight end, I'm fine taking 3. Pudgy says, are your rankings on Flock for best ball or just Dynasty? The rankings we're going to put out on flockfantasy.com, I'm going to keep my Dynasty rankings up to date year round. They're up to date right now. It will say Dynasty on flockfantasy.com. And we're about to get our 2024 rankings out probably in 2 days. Like I said, August 1st when everything drops. I'll probably get it a little early on flockfantasy.com, but probably in 2 days. Okay. And yeah, and the draft guide will be, you can use it for either best ball or your regular redraft league, but it's primarily made for regular redraft leagues. We'll take Jawan Johnson here. If Jawan was healthy, this is also another player that'd be going significantly earlier than he is now. And please don't scream at me if we end the live stream once we make our next pick if we're not at 500. Looks like we're 8 likes away from getting another draft. Okay. Let's move this down. Honestly, I'm okay with the team. Clearly, we need a couple things to go right. We need one of these running backs that look like they're probably really bad to not be bad and to get some volume. Outside of that, we're going to crush a quarterback. We're going to crush a wide receiver. We're going to crush at tight ends. We just need a running back we're not expecting to be decent. Okay. But it looks like we hit 500 likes. So I'm going to queue up some tight ends. And we are going to bounce. Gesicki for Burrow. Actually, I don't even care about that. We already have 3 Bengals. We'll go Knox as an undrafted guy. We'll go Hayden Hurst as an undrafted guy. Tucker Kraft as an undrafted guy. Just trying to get maybe a little of a unique pick there. All right, let's swing this around. Eeny, meeny, miny, best ball mania. Let's go ahead. Let's get in. If it will load. Perfect. We are in here, ladies and gentlemen. 6 spots open. If anybody else wants to get in with us. And we are here. Pick 2. We're just working our way up this draft board. First, you throw me at the end. Then you throw me in the middle. Now you give me something to work with, all right? We should be getting CeeDee Lamb or Christian McCaffrey. Fine with either. I see that we have some familiar names in this draft with us. We have Kadarius Toney out at pick 6. I believe that's Kadarius Toney. One pride. We have JRV at pick 11. I know that's JRV. He does a zillion drafts with us every night. I believe Kenny MC is a member of the flock with us at 4. Either that or they're just in underdog drafts all the time and I recognize their name. But let me know if you're in here. Yeah, JRV in here at 11. Kadarius Toney in here at 6. I already saw you, my guys. TGL pick 4. Bobby pick 9. All right, let's go. Brandon says how to get the draft guide. Okay, my friend, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog, made a $10 deposit with the new account in 2024. If you, with your account, if you signed up in 2022, I'm sorry, it's not going to come to you. But in 2024, it will be emailed to the account that you signed up with. The guide's going to be out in about 3 days. Should be out August 1st. Possibly out before then. I'm saying August 1st, so I'm not screamed at on August 2nd. That's if you signed up to Underdog with code FLOCK. If not, it will be on flockfantasy.com. It'll be on the post page. It'll be right there. You can click it, download it. I'll always update it there. And yeah. Okay. Okay, it says if Lance broke out this year, would you be sad that you drafted him a year too late or happy that you're right about his potential? So the thing about Lance is I have no idea. I mean, when we were drafting him last year, I had no idea if he was a good quarterback at all. Same thing with Bo Nix this year. Same thing with all the rookie quarterbacks. I don't know if they're any good. What I look at is NFL draft capital indicating job security based off historical odds, rushing upside in the situation they're stepping into. So when we looked at Lance, I went, I don't know if he's going to be a good quarterback or a bad quarterback. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be a good quarterback or a bad quarterback. But I know he has a ton of rushing upside, and if he were to be the starting quarterback in San Francisco, it's the best situation you could find in the NFL. So from a fantasy football perspective, he absolutely crushes. So, I mean, if Trey Lance starts this year, I have no idea if he's going to be good or not, but the thing is, he's probably going to be viable in fantasy. Like, if Lance starts for Dallas at any point, I will be picking him up off the waiver wire because if he's able to go out there and average 40 rushing yards per game and have double-digit rushing touchdowns in a season, he'll crush in fantasy. But am I expecting that to happen? No. Have I drafted Lance a single time this season? No, sadly. Now, let's move this over. Deebo Samuel off 16, Olave off 17. Can't really stress about what's happening at the beginning of the second round, of course, when we're not going to be up on the clock till pick 23. Okay. Let's move this over. I just came up with a really good YouTube short idea. Jonathan Taylor goes to Kadarius Toney at 19. Magus says CMC and Penix for Pollard, Kirk, Rattler, Vidal, and a first. 2 quarterback Superflex Dynasty. Rattler doesn't matter at all. Vidal doesn't matter at all. CMC over... I'd way rather have CMC and Penix. Rattler's like a 0. Vidal's most likely a 0 in Dynasty. Kirk Pollard, you get one or two more years out of. CMC, you get 1 or 2 more years out of, but he's going to be elite. And then Penix just got top 10 draft capital. So yeah, CMC Penix relatively easily for me. I really hope you didn't take the other side. Okay. Brandon Ayuk goes. I know a lot of people are taking Achane here at the 2-3 turn. I'm trying to get a little more unique with it. For that reason, I think we're going to go ahead. We are going to take, what was the... I think we're going to take Devonta Smith here at pick 23, and then we're going to follow it up with Kyron Williams at 26. Just personally, I have Kyron ranked straight up over Achane. And if you look at the way that ADPs line up, there are going to be a lot of teams in this tournament that have CeeDee Lamb, Achane, that have Devonta Smith, Achane, where there shouldn't be as many teams that have Kyron here. Ice Dragon on the clock. Let's see what they do. Achane and Diggs. So yeah, we're going to go ahead. We will take Kyron Williams. Y'all know I love a good wide receiver Kyron start. Let me pull up how many Kyron Williams teams I have. I figured I had more than this. I'm at 13% Kyron Williams. I'm at 21% Jordan Addison, 19% Sam Laporta, though. Josh Allen goes a little early here at 28. I don't mind taking Allen here at all, because the thing is, I mean, honestly, I need to start taking some CMC Josh Allen teams. Because if you go Allen there with CMC, it'd be such a unique pair. You easily have the Dalton Kincaid stack available to you at the 4-5 turn. So I think it's a really unique spot. It gives you the ability to take Kincaid. And the wide receivers that you're passing on, such as Malik Neighbors, I don't think are that much better than T. Higgins that you'll have in the 4th round. TGL says took Allen for the uniqueness there. I really like it. I honestly really like it. And I think I need to do more of it. Like, I wouldn't mind taking Allen, especially with CMC, because, I mean, I guess the thing with CMC is you kind of need to be going wide receiver there at the 2-3 turn. So maybe it makes more sense for us, like, instead of taking Kyron Williams there at 26, pull the trigger on Josh Allen. And I'm not saying do it in every draft, right? But mixing it in, because it is a possibility Allen drops 400 points. And did our camera just freeze? How long has our camera been frozen? I figured out how to fix this, so we should be fine. Now, I'm about to order a new camera for y'all, because I heard some of the comments, and y'all know I always consider what y'all want in the comments. I heard some people earlier this morning saying, Mason, my guy, you are so good looking. I don't even listen to you for fantasy football advice. I just want to stare at you all day long. Can we get the highest quality camera on the market? And I went, okay, if y'all insist. After reading about 1,000 or 2 of those comments that were left, I figured you kind of got to give the people what they want. So I'll hook y'all up. All right, I'll hook y'all up. Don't you worry. Okay. No, yes. Y'all can watch me in 8K. Watch me in 8K. But in reality, I am going to get a nice camera. So when we record all the in-content stuff, when everybody comes here in late August, we can have like a really cool setup in person. Now, the thing I'm worried about is I need to get a haircut and find a way to make it look like I'm not balding. So I haven't really had to deal with that up until this point. But this is the first year. where we're having to worry about it. So if y'all have any solid balding haircut advice, I'm in for it. I tried the buzz, and it was tough. It was tough. Okay. Now, what's interesting in this draft is we see a team at the other end go tight ends. So, it may be an interesting spot where we're a little more incentivized to take the elite level tight end ourselves. So we're going to go McBride at 47. Okay. Mahomes goes immediately after. The issue with Mahomes here is it's just very difficult to get a KC stack unless you're going to take Hollywood Brown. Which I personally hate Hollywood Brown here. Or you're going to reach on Rice or Worthy. This thing goes George Kittle. You go Lamar Bateman. We're going to just play it safe. We're going to go with Jacobs. A tiny part of me, I'm not going to lie to you. A tiny part of me wanted to go Dalton Kincaid and see what this draft room did with the team at 9 going Laporta Kelsey and us at 2 going McBride Kincaid. We'll see. Let's see the haircut advice here. Grow a beard, shave the head. Pure class. Sadly, cannot grow a beard, my friend. Short but not a buzz is probably the move, even if the girlfriend doesn't like it. Try the south side fade. All right, we're gonna look this up. What is the south side fade? South side fade. Okay, yeah, this is literally perfect. If anybody's in Austin, Texas, that's a barber that specializes in this, could you please hook me up? It's probably exactly what I need, especially with my hairline, the way that it's going. I think we could rock it. Thank you for the suggestion, my friend. I don't know if I don't know if I would have been able to find that. Let's move this over. Now we got what if Mason has a low taper fade? What is a lower taper fade? Low taper fade. Low taper fade. Here's what I kind of want. I just hate my hair touching my ears. I just want them to shave it all around my ears. Lil Boozy. Who's Lil Boozy? A-Rod says I would lose it if I saw Mason on stream with that cut. That would be really funny. I pull up on stream and go, what's up, guys? We're here to talk some fantasy football. We're going to get a draft going. Have you heard about Underdog Fantasy? Have you heard about code FLOCK by chance? Boosie fade. Let's see what Boosie fade is. Boosie fade. Okay, kind of same thing. I swear to God. So I used to, for Glimpse's rat tail cut, I used to work at Schlitterbahn Water Park. Best job in the world. I was a lifeguard there. Phenomenal. Loved it. I did it for 4 years. And Schlitterbahn's not like some gross water park where it's recycled water. It's like all river water. They growing up in the area, they told us it was the best water park in the world. Blah, blah, blah. Probably wasn't. But I distinctly remember seeing a kid and his dad having the coolest haircut that you could imagine. I was on stand and they floated by me in tubes. And have y'all seen this before? The lizard haircut. They floated by me, and both of them had their like hair shaved as if it was a lizard. And these don't look that realistic. In person, it was so realistic. I was like, oh my gosh, how did they get a lizard on that guy's head? It was incredible. Okay. Oh, we are in tough spot. We're in tough spot. We're going to have to take Brian Thomas here. Once we decide to go with McBride Jacobs at the turn, like we did, we essentially lock ourselves into having to go with the wide receiver here at the 6-7 turn. I don't know if... I don't know. I mean, it's a fine draft so far. Let's revisit after this turn and see what we could have potentially done that's different. This team at 1 autos Kenneth Walker. Through the first 6 rounds, they have 1 wide receiver, and that receiver is Stephon Diggs. Nick says, how much in donations would you need to get that haircut? An embarrassing amount, my friend. Jordan Addison goes. Montgomery. I can't take Stroud. I'm going to reach on Keon Coleman. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. We want wide receivers and good offenses. We're going to go ahead. We will take Keon Coleman here at 74 before the wide receiver tier drop. Sure, Kenny, maybe he's not going to be super excited about that, but they have Kincaid to pair up with Allen. They're more than fine. Kenny's team there at pick 4, I like a lot more than ours. And maybe that goes to say that we need to be mixing in some Josh Allen instead of Keon Coleman. Okay. John says, real talk though, Ivy League cut would look good. What is the Ivy League cut? Literally, anytime I go get a haircut, I just try to find a picture of whenever I looked good and had hair, and I show it to them and go, can I get this? And they look at me and go, sir, that's impossible. Now, literally, this is a picture I've showed at a haircut before. I don't know what any of these are called, but I've showed this picture exactly because this is honestly what my girlfriend told me to show. Where is the picture? I just lost it. I'm not going to keep wasting your time. I'm not going to waste your time. Let's move this over. After we take Keon Coleman, we have Montgomery, Alvin Kamara, Evan Ingram, Kyler Murray. All off. JSN makes it down to 79. I want to see how much JSN I take. I feel like we've had a lot more Lockett in drafts so far than JSN. Yeah, 14% Lockett, 8% JSN, and 5% Metcalf. So I'm overweight Lockett, in line with market JSN, underweight Metcalf. Okay. CJ Stroud makes it all the way down to 82. That is the Tank Dell team, I believe. So let's see, how did Stroud make it there? You had the Nico Collins team pass on him. The Nico team had Josh Allen, right? So they don't need Stroud. The Diggs team passes on him in favor of Addison. They have Mahomes. They desperately need a wide receiver. So interesting. Okay, Zamir goes. I think because we go wide receiver where we did, we are in an okay position that we don't need to force receiver here at the 8-9 turn. If like our favorite picks are Jonathan Brooks, Dak Prescott, we can go Jonathan Brooks, Dak Prescott. And I'm pretty confident that we are going to get Dak on the way back around because no team took Jake Ferguson around 7. Sometimes if a team reaches on Ferguson around 7, you'll see them take Dak in around 8. But that possibility is kind of out the window for these teams. Okay. Ferguson goes 89. Burrow goes 90. That's to the team that had Higgins. If I was Poppy Drizzy, I maybe would have tried pushing it a little bit and seeing if you can get Burrow in round 9 like we did in the last draft. The reason being is if you look at the team that took Chase in this one, they also have Josh Allen. So maybe they're a little less inclined to go Burrow, which obviously is no guarantee. DeAndre Swift off the board, 92. So my simpleton brain wants to go, like, I want to say Tony Pollard's a better pick than Zach Moss, Raheem Mostert straight up. But my hesitation with that is the research that we've done showing that typically you want to be taking players in good offenses. You want to be avoiding players in bad offenses. And all sports books are showing us right now that Tennessee is supposed to be a bad offense. Cincy and Miami are supposed to be good offenses. So I think we probably take Zach Moss and then hope we get Dak on the way back around, which we will get Dak. I'd be very surprised if we didn't. If we didn't get Dak, the reason being is it'd be an auto pick. Team goes Jordan Love. I'm not going to lie to you, I saw purple. I got scared. I thought, crap, this team just took Dak Prescott. And we are going to go ahead. We are going to take Dak Prescott. Dak was for sure the pick when we have Lamb, but we have no other quarterback, of course. The primary question was, do we go Dak in round 8 to guarantee that we get him? And the logic behind that would be, oh, okay, are we fine getting Pollard instead of Zach Moss there? Which I don't know. I do not know. Okay. Now, after we go Dak, interesting spot because this is like one where you take Dak at 98. And if we don't get another quarterback soon, I probably want to take 3. But the same thing at like tight end, we take McBride at the 4-5 turn. If I don't get another tight end until like round 16, I probably want to take 3. So it's like I probably want to grab another quarterback or a tight end relatively soon, so I feel comfortable only having to draft 2 at one of those spots. John says, man, I can't wait to watch the Longhorns this season. I am the worst fan of all time. Like, I obviously want Texas to be good. Hook 'em horns. I went to school there. But I will never get excited about Texas football until we are good. And even when we are good, I am just so hesitant to go in and like get excited and say all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're in a great spot, blah, blah, blah. I have been disappointed more than you could ever imagine. I didn't grow up rooting for any college football team. It's not like I was a UT fan before I went there. So my experience being a UT fan, I think I graduated high school in 2017. So in 2017, I decided I was going to be a Texas fan. So I've been a Texas fan for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. This past year, obviously, was great. I'm not going to complain about what happened this past season. But outside of then, every year, like we have one game that makes you excited. And it's like, oh, Texas is good again. And then we lose to an unranked Texas Tech team. So it's like, I don't know. And my brain's so broken that I've never really grown up rooting for football teams. I've really legitimately only grown up rooting for my fantasy football team. So it's like very hard for me to get in the mentality of like, oh, I'm going to be a fan of this team that doesn't matter if they win or not. I get nothing from it. Or like my fantasy football team, I can go, hey, if I draft a lot of Jordan Addison, I'm going to be rooting for this Vikings passing offense. And I have a lot to gain from it if Jordan Addison's really good this year. Or it's like hard for me to make that connection with a team, which is a me issue that I would like to solve because I do think it would make football even more fun for me. Brock Purdy goes, I don't know what we want to do. What the hell do we do? Tua Goff, neither are in play. Gus Edwards has been falling. The team between our selections here really needs a wide receiver. So we'll take Jacoby Myers because we're going to get one of these running backs making it back to us regardless. I have no idea what we're going to do. Adam Thielen off. What am I doing? Do we go Corum, lock up the Rams backfield? Do we go Dallas and go all in on this offense? Do we go Edwards, take the falling value? But Gus Edwards is going to fall a lot more in other drafts as well. I don't know. I will just go ahead and take Gus Edwards. Don't feel great. But let's move this around. And yeah, speaking of Texas football, I will say I am super pumped that we play A&M again. So I grew up in Texas, of course. So I went, and where I grew up and went to high school was like more like country than it was city. So like the vast majority of my friends, because like at least from my perspective, and this was the world I grew up in, your experience may be different. If you were smart in high school, at my high school, you pretty much either went to Texas A&M, or that was the main thing. If you were smart in my high school, you went to Texas A&M. A small handful of us went to the University of Texas. So like I had a ton of friends at A&M. I had way more friends at A&M than UT. So I knew, and I went and toured A&M. I thought there was a chance I was going to go there. I went and toured A&M. Only schools I applied to, I think, were A&M, Texas, maybe Baylor. And I was automatic admin to all of them. I knew I could go wherever I wanted. But, yeah, I know at A&M, like, they absolutely hate UT. Like, their entire personality is like, UT sucks, blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling you right now, at least for my time at UT, there was never a mention of A&M on the campus. Nobody cared about A&M in the slightest. The only thing anybody ever talked about was OU, because we actually played OU. There was a real rivalry there, where it would have been cool if like, oh, UT had a reason to like kind of dog on A&M, which didn't exist. I think it's kind of because if you go to UT, you could have gone to A&M if you wanted to. So I think maybe that's the reason people at UT didn't really care about A&M. But now I think that's probably going to be different. And it would have been so cool if when I went to college, we played each other. Because then I could have gone to College Station. I could have hung out with friends. They could have went to UT whenever A&M played UT. Could have hung out in Austin. So I'm salty that UT and A&M didn't play each other. And the rivalry didn't really exist when I was in school. But I think it's probably going to be back on now, and it's probably going to be a lot of fun for the kids who go. And I may try to go to a UT game. I have not gone to a UT game since I started live streaming every day during the season, just because it's been like impossible. But I'm going to try to be more like a normal person. I don't know if I'm going to live stream for over 200 days in a row this season. So I told my girlfriend I'll be a little more normal. I may take a day off, and I may actually go to a UT game. Alex says, hey, Mason, second year mother flocker here, and I'm curious if the redraft rankings will be out soon. We draft on August 1st. I will get you the redraft rankings tomorrow. The rankings themselves will be on the site tomorrow. I will try to get the draft guide on the site tomorrow as well, or the latest, the draft guide will be on the site in 2 days. If you signed up to Underdog code FLOCK, the draft guide will probably be 3 days for you, just because it'll take a little bit of time to set up the email system. The Indy coaching staff's been coming out and just raving about Josh Downs as of late. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Downs here. But specifically for you, my guy, I'll make sure the rankings are up to date on the site tomorrow with all the tiers and everything. Andrew says, I have season tickets for Texas football. My guy, you know what? You better also have a freaking ticket to the Flock Meetup in Austin, Texas, August 22nd. All right. I'm calling you out right now. Flockfantasy.store. I will be there. A bunch of fantasy football YouTubers will be there. Be a ton of fun. Got the brewery to agree to give everybody half price beer. So Come on, my guy. Please show up. All right, we already have 2 rookie receivers. I don't know if we want to grab Xavier Legette. Darnell Mooney, really the only reason to take him here. You know what? I'm going to go Luke Musgrave. I don't feel great about the Luke Musgrave pick, but if we go Luke Musgrave and pair him up with Trey McBride, I think we only have to take 2 tight ends. Maybe I'm reaching, maybe I'm making crap up, but I feel more comfortable only going 2 tight ends if Musgrave is that second option. So we'll take him here, and it will give us the ability to take 3 quarterbacks. I was definitely thinking about Marshawn Lloyd here. We had Jacobs. I don't know what the right pick is. Legette is a fine selection, but I think when we already have Brian Thomas, we already have Keon Coleman. I don't know if we want to dip our toe right back into the rookie wide receiver well. So we'll see. We'll see. John says, man, I wanted to go to UT after high school, but wasn't smart enough, so went to Texas State. I kind of grew up near San Marcos. I love San Marcos. I love San Marcos. I love New Braunfels. Hell, Schlitterbahn is New Braunfels. My favorite job of all time. My Schlitterbahn job, honestly, maybe not as good as obviously the fantasy football gig, but pretty up there. But yeah, I love the area. But yeah, where I grew up, and I don't mean to be rude here or anything, I had a lot of friends that went to Texas State. I had a lot of friends that went to A&M. My high school, which was like more of a like suburban country high school in Texas, was if you were smart, you went to A&M. If you didn't have great grades, you went to Texas State. And that was like the vast majority of people. You obviously had people going to Tech. You had people going to UTSA. You had people going to these random out-of-state schools. Very few, to be honest. And not many people went to UT, which was really surprising. Like I had 700 people in my graduating class. And I think it's like when I was there was like either the top 6 or 7% were automatic admin for UT because we were in the state of Texas. But really there were only like 6 or 7 kids out of the 700 class that went to UT, which was very weird. Raphael says, what was your least favorite job? Honestly, Brian says, I'm in the Longhorn band, going to have great seats to every game. My guy, you know what you are also going to have great seats at? I'm going to personally make sure that Brian Song has a great seat saved for him at the Flock Meetup. You better go to flockfantasy.store right now in that description and get a ticket so we can hang out August 22nd, my guy. But I've had some pretty damn good jobs. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I'll go through all my jobs with y'all right now. Okay. Let's move this over. This is where we're about 2 hours in the live stream. So this is what you've been here for 2 hours for, to hear my work history and hear me rate it. All right. Let's see if we go to Sean Watson, we can go Elijah Moore in the last round. I don't know if Vidal is interesting at all. We'll go to Sean Watson and potentially take Elijah Moore. Okay, Tyler Boyd, Troy Franklin both go. Vidal and Edwards are both falling at the moment because there is positive news about J.K. Dobbins. Maybe this draft we go, oh, okay, hypothetically, what if Dobbins isn't good to go? What if Vidal and Gus Edwards are the 2 only relevant running backs in Los Angeles and we get them in rounds 11 and 15? Hypothetically. Maybe we'll tell that story in this draft. But let's go through my jobs. So 15 years old, I get a job at Schlitterbahn. Minimum wage, lifeguard. You can only work a certain amount of hours because you're 15. You don't know exactly when you're getting off. So my parents would have to go and sit in the parking lot and wait for like an hour for me to get off work making $7 an hour. They hated that I got the job. And yeah, I loved it though. I had a friend doing it, so I was all excited. So 15 Schlitterbahn summer, 16 Schlitterbahn summer, 17 Schlitterbahn summer, 18 Schlitterbahn summer. Like every summer pretty much in high school, I was a Schlitterbahn lifeguard. The year after my freshman year of college, I thought I was going to go to medical school. So like every day I shadowed a surgeon. And then also that summer, I got a job at Marco's Pizza, which is like a pizza chain. At first, I was a pizza cook. I was like called an insider. This is a very funny story. We have time for it. But I went into the interview and I just needed a job for like a month. So I was expecting to go into the interview and tell them like, hey, I'll wash dishes. I'll do anything. I'll take out the garbage. Just, I'm your guy, whatever you need. The manager like called me into the interview, went, oh, I looked at your resume and I think you would be a great option for, she was like the general manager. She was like a store manager or whatever it is. And I was like, I'm going to be gone in 6 weeks. Right. And I was expecting I was going to be a dishwasher. And then she was like, yeah, I know. Just don't let the owners know. Don't know what she was thinking. So then I get hired on as like the manager of the pizza place. Then the owners find out like a week in. She comes to me and is like, I'm sorry, you can't be the manager anymore. And then I was like, oh yeah, fine. I didn't expect to be the manager. So then I was like, I'll be a pizza maker. I'm fine with anything. So then I got to be a pizza insider. And that was for the rest of the summer. It's like for 4 weeks. Then for winter break, I went back. In college, you get like a month for winter break. And it was like New Year's Eve or something. And I was like cooking pizzas. This is like freshman year after college. And then like a pizza delivery driver didn't show up or something. And they asked like, can you deliver pizzas? Because I was like, I was with there a bunch of like young kids, you know, making pizzas. So I was like, I was one of the only people with a reliable car. So like, oh, sure, I'll do it. I made like 3 times the amount of money delivering pizzas. So I got back that night and was like, yeah, I'm only delivering pizzas from now on. So I was a pizza delivery driver for the rest of the break. I think I was that same thing the following summer. Then because my sophomore summer in Austin, near my apartment, I got a job for the summer, a Japanese restaurant. It's actually in San Marcos now called, here, let me see what we're doing. We're going to be good for another quarterback. We need a wide receiver as well. Quarterback, we're going to go Drake May. There are a couple different New England guys that we can take in round 17. Yeah, then we're going to go Javon Baker. Baker's gotten some positive camp news. Obviously, Jalen Tolbert has as well, and Tolbert would work for Dak. But I think we're going to go Baker, then we're going to take Elijah Moore in the last round. But yeah, anyway, worked at the Japanese restaurant. Really liked that. I walked out with like just like $20-25 in cash every night for tips. Because I was getting paid like $16 an hour. They were paying us very well. They fed us. Phenomenal job. This was pre-inflation too. So $16 an hour was massive. And then also I had like $20 at the end of every shift. So I thought I was just the richest guy in the world. Like just because it was cash. So then I had the Japanese thing. While I was doing the Japanese thing, I was also doing the fantasy football YouTube. Like I was making 2 videos a day. I was making like $0 off it. I was just doing it for fun. Then I also, during that same summer, I got a job at a moving company. I would say the moving company was the only job I didn't like. Just because like the guy, when he recruited me, and he recruited some of my friends as well, he promised us, he was like, you'll make $20 an hour plus tips. So it'll go out to be like $25 an hour. Because moving people's crap is hard. And like the first 4 or 5 times we did it, we didn't get tipped at all. We were like, what the hell, man? We're not getting tipped. And so we were like, we want a raise. We want more money, specifically if we don't get tipped. And then he said no. And like my friends and I were the entire company. All he was doing was like running Facebook ads. So we like staged a coup and we were like, all right, well, we're not working anymore. And then he was like, okay, well, I'll replace y'all with other college kids. So that lasted. That coup did not work. I'll put it that way. Then after the Japanese restaurant, after the moving thing, Then it was junior year of college. Went back, started making video. I mean, I kept making videos. I've been making videos for like a year at that point. COVID hit, kept making videos, then was going back into senior year of college. And just actually videos started getting viewed. I could not believe it ever. Like I was like, oh my God, 30 people are watching a live stream. This is the craziest thing ever. So I don't know if I told that story. I was at the park with my girlfriend and a bunch of her friends. And I checked on like YouTube Studio, and I was used to having like 100 views of video. I've uploaded like 1,000 videos at this point. And every video would get like 100 views. I was making like $1 a day, or maybe a little bit more, maybe like $10 a day. And then a video had like 15,000 views. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. And I went back that night and I live streamed, and I had like 30 people watching me. And I had a friend in college that would live stream video games. And whenever he would have like 10 people watching him on Twitch, we would go nuts. We thought he was like, it was the craziest thing ever that he'd have 10 people watching him. So when I had like 30 people watching me, I was like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then so from that point, senior year, right before the year started, like I went and bought a new computer. I bought like a little studio thing, and I was like, I am streaming every single day for the next 200 days. I am making, back then I was making 3 videos a day. They were horrendous videos, but I was working, God knows how much. I was probably, because I was taking 18 hours too, because I graduated with 2 degrees from UT. So like, I mean, I would literally wake up at like 7, 8 and be sitting in my room at my desk, because all my classes were online. I told all my professors I was scared of COVID, so I could just work on YouTube. And I'd sit there from 7 or 8 in my live stream like 2 in the morning. It was like the craziest year ever, but it worked out. But yes, Dre says, I was there for the early low quality live stream. Appreciate you, my guy. Thank you so much for everything. But I think that's probably it. Long story short, really loved all my jobs. The only job that I didn't really like was the moving company. Pizza place, great. Cooking pizzas, delivering pizzas, all good. Japanese place, awesome. Slitterbahn, incredible. And then talking fantasy football, obviously the absolute dream. But really appreciate you all. Really thank you for drafting with us tonight, hanging out with us tonight. And yeah, I'll be live tomorrow night. Of course, use code FLOCK on Underdog if you want to join a draft with us. That link's in the description, links in the comment section. It's in the live chat. Really appreciate you, and really hope I get a draft with you tomorrow night.